global warming, human phenomenon or natural effects? These seems to be the question the government doesn't necessarily want you to know the answers to. I learned a lot after researching this subject. It has been my opinion that global warming is an ongoing natural event that has been going on since the beginning of time. So some questions you may ask are, what is global warming? When did global warming begin? Can it be avoided? And should the government get involved? The definition of global warming is the increase in the world's temperature believed to be caused in part by the greenhouse gas effects. According to the Washington Times, there are 3 facts. The first being global warming is real. Second, it is largely not a natural process, and although humans contribute, it is a very small amount. Fact 3, we need to deal with these problems caused by global warming directly, and the worst possible way by far and the most costly way to achieve this is through carbon reductions. Climate change itself isn't a threat, but the action we're proposing to take on climate mitigation will devastate our Western economics and impoverish a whole generation. Over the last 100 years, mean global temperatures have increased by 0.7 of a degree centigrade. According to Professor Phil Jones of the Climate Research Unit at the University of East Anglia, there has been no significant warming for the last 15 years. The warmists have the bizarre idea that only CO2 matters. Certainly CO2 is a greenhouse gas, but it's not even the worst one. That's water vapor, and there's nothing we can do about it. The fact that the EPA has declared CO2 a pollutant is ridiculous. We are a carbon-based life form, and CO2 is vital to the whole biosphere. The inescapable conclusion is that temperature drives CO2, not vice versa. Over the long term, the correlation breaks down entirely. Current atmospheric CO2 levels are quite low in geohistorical terms. They have been 10 times as high in the past, and that was during an ice age. Our efforts to control climate by reducing emissions are doomed to failure. Bjorn Lomborg has studied the economics of climate change and estimates that the European Union's 20% emissions reduction target will cost around $250 billion a year. Yet the impact by 2100 on global temperatures is likely to be only 0.05 a degree centigrade, almost too small to measure. The IPCC predicts that a warmer planet will lead to more extreme weather, including drought, flood, snow, and wildfires. But over the last century, during which the IPCC claims the world experienced more rapid warming than any time in the past 2 millennia, the world did not experience significantly greater in any of these extreme weather events. Now on the question whether the government should get involved, according to an Associated Press release on January 30 of 2007, climate scientists at 7 government agencies say that they have been subjected to political pressure aimed at downplaying the threats of global warming. The groups presented a security that shows 2 in 5 of the 279 climate scientists who responded to a questionnaire complained that some of their scientific papers had been edited in a way that changed their meaning. Nearly half of the 279 said in response to another question that at some point they had been told to delete reference to global warming entirely. In addition to the pressure from politicians, many prominent scientists working on climate change issues have reported increasingly severe harassment from members of the public. The harassment has taken several forms. The U.S. FBI told ABC News that it was looking into a spike in threatening emails sent to climate scientists, while a white supremacist website posted pictures of several climate scientists with the word Jew next to each image. Several lawsuits have been filed over global warming. For example, Massachusetts versus Environmental Protection Agency before the Supreme Court of the United States allowed the Environmental Protection Agency to regulate greenhouse gases under the Clean Air Act. A similar approach was taken by California Attorney General Bill Loeffler, who filed a lawsuit, California versus General Motors Corp., to force car manufacturers to reduce vehicles' emissions of carbon dioxide. This lawsuit was found to lack legal merit and was tossed out. Global warming is most definitely real, and we should be concerned. After all the research, you can conclude that both nature and humans contribute to the climate change. There are differences in opinions as to what the best ways to help reduce global warming are. The global warming controversy is a variety of disputes regarding the nature, causes, and consequences of global warming. The disputed issues include the causes of increased global average air temperature, especially since the mid-20th century, whether this warming trend is unprecedented or within normal climate variations, whether humankind has contributed significantly to it, and whether the increase is wholly or partially an artifact of poor measurements. Additional disputes concern estimates of climate sensitivity, predictions of additional warming, and what the consequences of global warming will be. The controversy is significantly more pronounced in the popular media than the scientific literature, whether there is a strong consensus that global surface temperatures have increased in recent decades and that the trend is caused mainly by human-induced emissions of greenhouse gases. No scientific body of national or international standing disagree with this view, though a few organizations hold non-committal positions. After all of this research, I've found that